Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everybody. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. We're live with a live studio audience. This is fun. This is fun. There's actual live people here today. It's kind of like the court, though. Like half the court is here today. So they know how to behave. They know how to behave. No clapping, no I love yous, no wiggling, no eyes. Leave your eyebrows where they started. They know how to behave around here. It's a wonderful group of people, though. I got to tell you, I got to spend it with the family. We had Betty there. We had Mike there. There's so many, but and we just had Granny pop up. So Granny just joined us too. It's exciting. We got Danielle in studio. We got James Sowery, right? Sowery. I always get it wrong, but he's right there. So I have to be accountable now. So I got to get the name right. And oh wow, look at this, 62 people. You guys are just piling in quickly. Thank you all very much. This is wonderful. So were you guys waiting for these results from court? You were watching my live tweets, right? I didn't have any. I wasn't allowed to. I'm not government approved. Can you believe that? Accreditation is a government process for media to be able to report on government. There was one person there. Ezra, how you doing, buddy? Got to spend a little bit of time with you in the hallway. It was a nice little encounter. We got to exchange some pleasantries. It was fun. Lots of fun. Ezra, I'm really happy that you're there. Don't get me wrong. And look, I am just a nice guy. You just don't like what I have to say. I get it. I get it. And yeah, I would buy you a coffee. Let's sit down and have a coffee. I know that money will stay in my pocket though. So have a good one. But yeah, it was a good time. What we did when we got there is we're there for the CC1 application. So today was supposed to be reviewing the CC1 application. And it got pretty funny because halfway through some things changed. But we'll get into that because we got Danielle and James and Granny as well here. And a full house. It's pretty cool. And they're all staring at, well, not me. They're staring at the screen. So thank goodness. But they're allowed to laugh if they want to. Let's take a look at them. Look at everybody back there. They do know how to listen. They do know how to listen because we just went through a couple times where the judge told us to be quiet. But he was allowed to make jokes and we were allowed to laugh at those. So those are the exceptions to the rule. But yeah, so we got to hang out with the entire court was packed, by the way. So we filled out all 85 seats and there was a bunch of people still in the hallway. And absolutely, you could feel the love in that room and you can feel the respect. We did start off the session with the Lord's Prayer, which was something I guess doesn't happen often, but for us, it felt normal and natural. So we got to do that. And I'm going to have to change the name here. It says Granny and Danielle, but we got Granny right here. Who wants to see Granny? Granny, they want to see you. Where are you? You're at drinks already without us?
Yeah, well, mine's a Virgin Caesar.
We got robotic grandma. We got robot grandma. Yeah.
I tell you, I can't win.
You can't win, grandma. Yeah.
Well, tell everybody I love them. I'm going to go spend time with my daughter and other friends from the court. So, ciao. I just wanted to say I'll see everybody in the morning.
We love you, Granny. You take care of that voice, okay?
Okay. Later,
everybody. You want to say bye to Granny? There you go. Okay, bye, Grandma. All right, so sorry about that, but yeah, she got that robotic voice. Ceases is really on her phone. I think that's what's going on here. I think that's going on. So we do have to say hi to a few people here. Hey, Clay, how you doing, bud? You got some water? You have your coffee in the morning, but you don't have anything for me now. Hey, bigots, how you all doing? Who's a bigot here? We got some bigots around here? There's a few of them. There's a few of them. Got to find your family, right? Got to find your family, everybody. And opening segment. Jason, can I take up the comments? Ali, go ahead. Hands free on the comments. Go ahead, Ellie. You got the comments. All right, Danielle. So you were sitting there, you had your notebook on, and my goodness, boy, do you ever take a bunch of notes. Can you hear me? Yeah. So it's going to be one of those episodes. Okay, cool. But Danielle, you were there the whole time, and then you were there today taking notes. Were you surprised at how things worked out today? We don't have to get into the details yet. We'll do that in a second. But were you surprised how today laid out? Was it a typical day there, or was this a really weird day for you?
No, that's typical.
Very typical.
Well, okay. I think a lot of people thought that it was nice that there was a lot of people. We had a packed courthouse. It was at capacity. People weren't getting in. We ended up having to shuffle family members through the crowd to make sure they got in. So it was definitely a packed house. So no, it was typical to have a bunch of disclosure dumped at the exact wrong time. It's happened 3 times in these motions alone. And it was kind of, I think, just nice that we had press there to see it. We had a room full of people there to see it. People are talking about it. It is normal. It is one of the biggest frustrations that everybody has gone through, and the biggest obstacle, and literally how they've managed to drag it out this 528 days, 9 days.
Too
whatever.
many.
Too many.
Too many.
Losing count, people. So that's how. And I think it was just kind of nice. Usually we do have a couple of people in there, but now that it's out there and we're talking about it, it is it's refreshing probably for the family. It's nothing out of the ordinary, nonetheless frustrating. But the legal team, the defense team is kicking some butt. So that was cool to watch. She's, the lead lawyer and team, everybody is doing a really good job. So hopefully, we're really hoping for tomorrow that the judge finally eventually just says enough is enough. Like they're crying for it right now. The defense team is saying, please stop doing this. Like it's just meant to drag it out. I don't know how much into depth we get into what happened today in general, if you want to start in on that a different way. But yeah, it wasn't abnormal. It was just great that, there was witnesses and people were shocked by it. People were shocked by it. And we're almost like, we're at the point where this is normal. So adjournments, like he's like, oh, what time do you think we'll be out? And I'm like, oh, they're going to come back in and adjourn probably in the next 5 minutes. And even the sheriff was sitting there, oh yeah, they could. And sure enough, came back in. Well, we've got new material. We need some time to look at it before we can, continue. And you have to, you can't, the defense is stuck. When they get stuck with new material, it would be poor practice, I would think, to just kind of hastily look at the new affidavits, say, that came in today, and hastily
make a decision.
just make a slight decision on it and carry on like it wasn't anything. Like, it's nice to see that the defense team, yes, it's a little frustrating to see a few hours of the end of the day eaten up with an adjournment and nothing really progresses, but it's just as important that the defense team now spends probably all night long trying to figure out if they need to, have this person as a witness coming up next, if this is how we have to proceed, and, validate all the information in this affidavit and everything. So it takes time, and it wouldn't be, that's why it's been dragging on so long. It is, the defense team needs to go through everything that is dropped on them.
There's a lot.
And there's a lot. So we're really hoping, and the defense team, like I said, is crying, when is enough going to be enough? At some point, this judge does have to say enough is enough. It can't. It'll continue on forever. It will, and it'll go past the Jordan Act, like we're talking about, and just all these little things. But this is the how. We witnessed it today with everybody else. So it's hard to explain to people unless they're there and they witness it for themselves, how that looks.
Now, it was new for me because I'm catching up from the 29th and all your notes, and you took great notes as well. But now I got to sit there and listen to some of the words that was used by the defense. And I just saw a chat go by that said the word of the day is frustrated. The word of the day today is crime fraud. Crime fraud. All right. So we have to look that up. What this is it means the defense, the Crown was doing their job. They committed a crime. Using fraud, really good term, but unlawful was used a lot too to describe the activities. So again, we didn't get to the actual envelope. It hasn't been opened, and we also got confirmed today that the judge has not seen it yet. He has not opened it yet, because the arguments that were being made today was whether or not to pierce the veil of client solicitor privilege. And that's a very high standard, because we really want to maintain that privilege so that people can talk to their lawyers freely and not worry about being used against them. That's why we have this privilege. We also have spousal privilege for the same reason. So to be able to pierce that veil, we need to reach a certain standard. Now, I got some good news, because that standard is the justification or for the justice system itself to not cause people to distrust it. There's a standard there. And the judge was using that term a lot yesterday when he was giving his decision for Chris Carbert. So what I really enjoyed about that was it's in his mind to think that way, so that you don't ruin the justice system. You do the right thing. And I liked hearing him talk about that. So to pierce the client solicitor veil, you need to do that. It's for justice. what I heard him say today, though, was he was giving the prosecutor, the Crown, a case law. So he pointed him to case law and basically said, you should familiarize yourself with this. That case law isn't good for the argument of the prosecutor, because what it was a case law that did pierce the veil. And the defense absolutely understands that one and was looking at it. Now, what's that defense attorney's name that did most of the talking? The lady with the jet black hair.
Tony Roaston.
That's Tony. Okay.
For Tony Olienick. Tony and Tony.
Okay. She did a wonderful job. So the things that she was talking about. So what she did was, okay, so when you're in law school, what they teach you is pretend the judge knows nothing. Not very hard to do, but pretend the judge knows nothing. And then you have to guide the judge every step of the way, like a horse to water. And that's what I saw Tony doing. So she was laying out the different pieces of case law. And just for everybody to understand, she mentioned one point that the case law varies on the reasons to pierce the corporate veil, all the way as low as a civil tort, which means somebody did something you don't like and you can sue them civilly, which is not a crime. It's just a civil action, all the way to criminal. So she laid out that the case law says piercing of the veil can happen all the way in this range. And then she went and started talking about unlawful actions and crime fraud. So she's definitely to the far side of that spectrum. So I do expect the judge to be taking a very close look at this. Now, he has to make quite the decision, because the piercing is inside the Crown's office itself. And if they are able to do that, we're going to get the information that the Crown never wanted us to have. But it also is going to set the stage for maybe a lot of the stuff that this particular gentleman did, because what it sounds like is he did some misconduct. Okay, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it's misconduct, because the Law Society is involved, and we actually heard that mentioned today that they're investigating this. Because of that, a lot of the stuff that he's worked on in the past might get reviewed and might be looked over. And he seems to be the main prosecutor for a lot of this stuff. Now, James, you had a different one, and maybe you can talk a bit about his involvement, the different prosecutor that you had. But we've seen this name a lot, Steve Johnston. So do you guys know of any of the other matters? I think he was with Arthur Pelosi's matter. Danielle, actually, do you know that answer?
No, I'm pretty tunnel visioned on the Coutts stuff, so I think that his is I think Stephen Johnson, but it's the same three. Like, so there's Stephen Johnson is kind of the lead, and then there's, I'll get his name wrong, Delalowitz, and then Rankin.
Aaron Rankin.
Aaron Rankin is who did yours. But
Yeah.
yes, I do believe that they're kind of seemingly interchangeable in pretty much all of the COVID-y Coutts convoy type cases. It's what?
COVID Coutts, I like that.
All intertwined. Yeah. They're all like anything to do with any of that. There's one of those guys on the case, whether it's a bail hearing or anything. I do believe that Stephen Johnson is considered the lead on these four boys, but I'm not sure in this case where he was overseeing anything to do with
I think Stephen
James's
Johnson
case.
is doing all the Coutts stuff, whereas mine was Milk River. It kind of got passed off to Aaron Rankin.
Mhm.
But again, like all three of those Crown prosecutors are into these four boys and have been mixed match, played around, and intertwined and confusing everybody how it all goes now.
Yeah, and so with I think with this application, it's been made clear that it is the Stephen Johnson is definitely a subject of the application. However, the other two, it seems like that it's unsure. And they said today it seemed unsure because whoever was in this meeting, in on this meeting, they're not disclosing that information. So they're not sure if these two Crowns were involved in the meeting. If they were, then they're in, obviously with that other application, the recusal application. But if they're not, then they might show up back in the case. Those two might. But yeah. I think it'll open a lot of doors for people, even like James, even if it because there is some intertwining there. It clearly shows that there was some foul play going on in order to clear those protests, either in Coutts or in Ottawa in general, across the land. So it'll all be I think it'll all kind of blow that open in general if there was something exposed with this. But there was also a publication ban application put on by the by the Crown this morning that got, it didn't get put on. He thought it was. He thought he applied for it, and then it turned out he didn't get it posted. We got adjourned and had to go run away, and then came back, and lo and behold, nope. And now it's possibly going to be on Thursday if it all goes through. But I think they're paying attention. They've mentioned, our media list didn't really include independents and bloggers and all these other people that could go say stuff. So they're kind of obviously going to be reviewing that a little bit.
I believe it's too late for them now.
Well,
There's
the
too
cat's
many
out of
of
the
us out
bag
there.
anyway. But
Yeah.
well, I was joking today. I was like, I guess we go old school and we have to do the hear ye on the side of the road with our flyers and whatnot. I'll just tell you in person, I guess. So I don't know. Well,
Well, let me break down that whole publication ban that started the day off. So this is not a renewal of any particular publication ban. This is a new one. This is a new application from the Crown. And what they want to put a publication ban on is the contents of that envelope and the decision that comes from it. So the two things that they're asking for. So immediately the Crown is trying to keep things secret because they don't want anybody outside of that room to be able to talk about that. I don't like that at all. And I don't think the judge was going for it. In order to do a publication ban, though, there's rules, just like everything else. You got to follow a certain set of rules. They have to give notice within a certain amount of time. They have to give notice to the list of accredited. They have to post it in the courthouse. There's a bunch of things that they're supposed to do. And as you said, Danielle, they didn't do that at all. One thing I didn't like that I heard in there, though, was there was no opposition from the media. So the Crown said, we spoke to this person. I can't remember. It was a lady's name. And he said that she represents media, just blanket media, and they don't oppose. So, of course, my eyebrow went up. So I got to unmute you. Yeah.
That lady lawyer is the post media lawyer that did the publication ban at the beginning of those 3 weeks. So that was the defense team that put forth that application, and she's the one that represented the media on that case. And I believe she was, no, I shouldn't say anything because I don't know about the other one, but so she's the one that they've been in communication with when any sort of publication ban issue comes up. And I think that's why they kind of mentioned today, the media list we have only covers like Post Media, Global News, the people that Miss Layton represents. So that doesn't cover us. It doesn't actually cover any of the other news sources that aren't already listed under Miss Layton's count, like as being retained by Miss Layton. So anybody outside of that, technically up till now, we could have said absolutely anything we wanted, is how I kind of read that. Because they didn't cover it. And technically, it was just those media outlets who were being represented and had counsel to even contest anything. And I guess that's kind of where Jason was going to step in at the end of,
Yes. Yeah. So what I did is I did approach the defense, and I let them know that I am a citizen journalist, an independent journalist, and I absolutely would oppose the application, and I was ready to speak on it. I am a licensed member of the Law Society of Ontario in good standing, so I really can argue it, and I'm also an independent journalist who has an interest in this. Because they did mention citizen journalists, podcasters, and stuff like that did not have a say in it. So he did highlight that they weren't represented. But I wonder if he's aware of our show, The Crown, and maybe this is why he's more concerned about getting his publication ban in place. Danielle, what do you think? Do you think that maybe he's gotten wind of this and he doesn't want us to talk about it?
yes.
They're scared.
I seen it yesterday. There was little signs up, little like printed off publication bans and effect signs that were kind of posted in the hall and inside, and those were never there before. They're definitely,
They're grasping at straws.
yeah.
And Ezra, he was there live tweeting, so he's now confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt, because he's been there for 2 days, that the current publication ban on the ITOs, which we're very familiar with, hasn't stopped him from live tweeting. Therefore, he should have been live tweeting the entire time. But he was there doing that today. But at the end of it, they don't have a publication ban in place, this new one. It wasn't approved, and they might be coming back on Thursday for it. But it might be moot. We might be finding out about it before Thursday anyways. So yes, one more thing that the Crown didn't do right, and it may bite them in the end. Now, Danielle, you took great notes, okay? I don't know, you don't have them in front of you, but I know you took great notes. Oh, that's where Padge went. Hey, Padge, I know you can hear me. Get back in this room. You're supposed to be sitting here. Ali's taking care of the chat. Thank you. Bring the boys. See you soon. But that publication ban is just not in place at all. I do also want to talk about something that a few people told me. It used to say media ban in the courtroom, but now it says publication ban. Can you confirm or deny that, Danielle?
Cannot. No, I never noticed. But remember, like I didn't know there was a difference. I was using publication ban and media ban fairly interchangeably until you corrected me, maybe just yesterday even, or the day before that. But that, so I don't know. I might not have paid attention or noticed that there was that. I think it was Granny who noticed that one.
Okay, no problem. But what we do notice is it says publication ban clearly now. So it says that everywhere.
With an S.
Plural, yeah, because there's more than one on that one.
Yeah, just to be clear. We're
Okay, and so we saw them. So just to make people understand what a publication ban is and not to be confused with a media ban, because this was the challenge I had with Ezra later, because I challenged him on his use of the word media ban, and he's claiming he didn't say that, but we have the email. So Ezra, I'll provide that for you. But the difference is a publication ban is a publication ban on a certain item. So that item and the content of that item can't be publicized and can't be published. And that also includes within the court records itself. So it's kept under seal in the court records, because typically everything goes public. You can technically order every piece of information through the court itself and get access to it because it's all public. That's what they call publication. So the court itself will publicize or put it into a publication, make it available to the public. All these words are interrelated. So that's what was being stopped. So the court itself will not put that out there, and that's it. So all the witnesses, all the testimony, all the other days that you went through, all the other arguments, all the other applications, they absolutely could have been spoken about. And all you have to do, I don't need to prove it to you, just go to Ezra's tweet. The live tweet is proof that he could have been doing that the entire time. Everybody could have been. I didn't see Western Standard there either. I didn't see True North there either. I didn't see any mainstream media either. And Ezra was the only accredited media. Now, Danielle, there was 2 rows for media, but 1 man. Was it always that way?
The first 2 weeks of court, the first time, like the 3 weeks of hearings that we just went through, the first 2 weeks, it was only 1 row, and there was never anybody sitting there other than when the publication ban hearing was on for like a day and a half, and then a bit for the decision another day. Other than that, there was absolutely nobody sitting in there. So, and then all of it, and that was what was weird. It was kind of like the last week or so. I can't remember exactly. I have it in my notes what day it would have been, where all of a sudden it was like 2 rows back, and you got to think these are the rows immediately behind the men. So, you know, Tony's mom liked to sit right behind him, and there was people that liked to sit right behind them so they could kind of just see them a little better. And then all of a sudden now we've got 2 rows of complete empty, and they're long rows, and it was a packed courtroom, so it was a little annoying that there was like 2 whole rows of people. Well, Ezra was in one person for these whole 2 rows, and yeah, it was a little odd when that happened in the first place.
Do you know if it was always 85-person limit in the courtroom?
We
or
were
is that
told that
just
before that first set of hearings that it was 85. But then I wasn't sure too if it was like including the counsel and everything and the judge and everybody.
Right.
It is? Yeah. They're confirming. Oh, we got fact checkers.
Nice.
Yeah, the chat's on top of you guys. You better tell the truth. The chat, it's probably Ezra in there typing away, right? Go on.
Yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. Yeah.
So then the defense got up. So after the publication ban was not decided on because it wasn't properly given notice, he didn't properly give notice. It was basically put on pause, and they can potentially bring it up again on Thursday. And then they continued. So the defense came up, and the first word in my notes here that got my attention was unlawful. So it was interesting to watch the defense try and explain to the judge without letting the secret out that the secret was really important. It raised to a certain standard. And so she started using words like unlawful. And they also got this note here that she claims they give gave legal advice that's unlawful. So first she started talking about a lawful act, and then she's told us that it looks like they gave unlawful advice, legal advice. And then this entire paragraph or sentence that I got here is amazing. It's unlawful. The unlawful advice is around the ITOs, so the information to obtain. The legal advice given goes against the operation of justice. That's an incredible line to be hearing from defense, because it's more than just crime. It's against the operation of justice. And all law societies, and the only way the legal system works is people have faith in it. So this is the one thing that they protect completely. And this is beaten into us almost literally in law school, because if the trust by the public into the legal system drops, there's no legal system anymore. So when she's bringing it up to against the operation of justice, she means this is a really, really bad thing. She also used a term where she was laying out what was going on without saying what happened, which is, again, it's difficult to listen to because you want to hear that nugget. But she said that the police came to the Crown. There was a certain matter that the police were dealing with in a certain way, came to the Crown, got this unlawful legal advice, and then the police did a 180. She used that term, did a 180 after gaining that advice. And then, of course, we know what happened. A whole bunch of people were arrested, 13, 14 people, and a bunch of things happened. So the way she was laying it out was the police, it sounds like, the police were doing things properly, spoke to the Crown, and then they did a 180 and started to do things unlawfully. And the rest is history, because we're all coming together as a family because of these men and those actions. Now, James, when you were hearing stuff like that, you can look there. That's fine. When the James, yeah. Yeah, when they said that, did your eyebrows raise? And you're like, wait a minute, the Crown is capable of telling the police to do the wrong thing? It's something unlawful. Were your ears peeking up because you kind of went through a situation that didn't seem to be lawful?
Yeah, so it just goes along with the corruption that goes down. I mean, the RCMP and stuff are supposed to work for the people, uphold the law, the rule of law, you know. And when they're getting grounds from federal government or you know, court system or anything like that, being told how to do their job, what to do, you know, that's corruption. That's not following their law. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. So yeah, it kind of bothered me a bit, and it opened me up to, okay, well, what happened, you know, especially even during my case and stuff. And it's really, yeah, it's eye opening.
And I believe we are dealing with that. Oh, sorry, you're muted. I have to mute you when I talk so there's no echo. So if you want to chat, I'll put you on now and go.
Are you going? You go. Me go. Yeah, no, I you can definitely tell the corruption and stuff. And like, I've never been in trouble or been charged or convicted or anything previous to this. So this was all new to me. And after experiencing it and going through trial and all this, now sitting in with the four boys, I could see the level of corruption. I could see what's going on based off, you know, how my trial went versus how their trial's going. You know, the facial expressions of lawyers, Crown prosecutors, judges, even the officers in the courtroom. You know, you can really see a level of where these people are going with things.
And additional comments that the defense made was a Crown should not hide behind bad acts. So what she was talking about there was, yes, you have this client solicitor privilege, but it can't be considered privilege if it's based on a bad act. So just because they did a bad act, it doesn't mean they can vitiate that privilege or maintain that privilege. So she's really pointing to something really severe, like beyond a mistake. There's no question in my mind that she believes it's really bad. And then shortly after that is when we got the first time that there was an unlawful act, crime fraud. And Danielle, how many times did you write that word down? And I saw it was big on your thing because she mentioned it a few times.
Really big and underlined the first time it was said. It was kind of like, ooh, I haven't heard that one yet. And it was used a lot today. Crime fraud. Yeah, we've got to look it up. I've never even heard of it. I don't even know what that is.
What the
Just
court
sounds
court
bad.
meaning of it is.
Yeah. Crime fraud. Somebody should look. Whatever's our fact checkers.
Help us out.
Well, I'll go ahead and look it up right now. So go ahead and let's talk about the late affidavit. So after we had lunch, we came back at 2 o'clock, and then this was the next big thing that happened was the Crown dropped a affidavit that was 5 minutes old onto the defense. Danielle, you want to go ahead and talk about what you saw there?
Yeah, so I think there was like it didn't seem like maybe the Crown that was there today was very well prepared and hadn't maybe gone through the material to the point where he could have been getting affidavits, 2 weeks ago to go over this information about the client's solicitor privilege. But he decided to go run out and find somebody today and dump that on the defense at 2:10, a bit 10 minutes after lunchtime. So the judge was late coming in, so he would have just got that. And basically we pretty much had to adjourn from there. They had to kind of look at it and say, like, we had, like I said earlier, we have to have time to go and check out who wrote this affidavit, if we need to have him up as a witness, if there's information in this affidavit that isn't true, or, we need time. So it's kind of just hallmark of how things have gone. It's just it, and I think, the defense did point out, like, you have had lots of time to do this job, right? Like, why are we again getting held up? The defense was this close from wrapping up that part of the application so that things could move along. This close, like, and they were bad. Like, the defense team has been pretty cool-headed all along, but today I seen some steam coming out of some ears, I think. So it was, and they're basically begging him, you got to get this has to stop. Because now, like, we ate up hours, and now we've got to eat up probably
Wasted
most
another
of
day.
tomorrow morning going over this affidavit that could have been, all this work could have been done weeks ago by the defense team while they're in their offices, focused, not in the middle of another
That's right. Just puts the boys in jail another extra
and it
day.
makes them tired. Our defense team, like, they've got to spend all night now, like, not getting any sleep and going through all this stuff. So now they're just trying every chance they get. It's just strategic. It's impossible to ignore at this point that the strategy behind that. I mean, we had 4 days for this application, and originally on the 29th, the new Crown that had to come in, he said 4 days for an application. That sounds a little crazy. And everybody was like, nah, we're going to need this and this and this, and convinced him that that's not crazy. And he's about to see what this looks like. I don't know. It's now he's got what did he have, like 3 or 4 binders sitting on his desk, like this thick, maybe more. And you got to think this guy just had this dumped on him too a few weeks ago. So I'm like, you're not sleeping much either. That's a lot of stuff. So I don't know if he's grasping at straws because he's just trying to catch up to what's even going on here, or if this was a strategy move. It kind of looks like it based on everything else we've done, but it could very well be too that by throwing this new Crown in there, it's going to stumble things along even further, because I just
Definitely.
haven't had time to
relearn
go
everything.
through everything. Obviously, I haven't had time to do my job. Well, that's kind of where the defense team has been the entire time for the last over 500 days. So welcome to the party, kind of thing. But we need to also get things moving, because the next dates on the book aren't until November 1st. So if we end up, what does this look like if we end up going past these 4 days we have? We need to get at least through the client solicitor stuff, at least to get into, like, start the application.
Yeah.
If this application doesn't even get started by the end of the week, like, again, I'm not going to be overly surprised. I said it before, I don't have many expectations, but this is why I said that.
I get it. In the defense, you're right, because she was getting more frustrated. So at first she said, this is a little unfair, or something like, no, I think this is unfair, something like she said there. And then she reiterated again after, because she wanted to take away the softness of that. And she said, no, this is unfair.
Because she actually, we had a bit of an adjournment, and I think she was able to go over the affidavit and was like, came back in like, oh, no, this is unfair, like, firmly. Like, so whatever was in there actually even made it more so.
Yeah, but I mean, they only had 15 minutes to look at it.
Yeah.
I believe it looked like it was something like 4 pages long. Like that's not enough time to fine tooth, comb something and
she needs,
throw something.
it impacts her her motion and her motion that she just made. So she's like, I might need to redo my entire process based on this. Like, this is not fair. And I just about finished it. And I've been working really freaking hard on it. So yeah, you could see he was not happy.
Yeah, I don't know why the Crown didn't dismiss that one.
The judge, I mean.
Yeah, the judge,
Yeah.
sorry.
Give her time to go through it. Maybe she can prove that he needs to, I don't know. We'll see. I'll be disappointed if we have to spend a whole half a day or a day tomorrow, who knows, going over this. And
just to drag it out.
You never know. We can go in the morning and they're going to decide that there is something in here. We need to get this officer down who wrote this, and we need this witness. And oh, well, he can't come in till Thursday. Are we adjourning till Thursday because a reassessment of Rouston's work needs to be maybe reconsidered? So anything's possible. We could go in there tomorrow. It could be 10 minutes long and we're out until Thursday. I'm not kidding. This is how things have been. People driving in from Saskatoon and Grand Prairie and all over the country, Drayton Valley.
Good, everybody.
So they show up to court and they think they're getting a day full of fun, legal, exciting
legal.
stuff. And then they're outside standing around, like you just don't know. So we gave up trying to guess. We just tell people what, and I don't even know. Did anybody catch what time in the morning?
10.
So yeah, we just gave up trying to guess anything, and we're just be there at 10 tomorrow, and that's all we can tell you.
Yeah, we can only go day by day at this point. They're not giving us any future ideas.
No.
The good thing I did like about what the judge tried to do, though, is he tried to move the events along. So he was willing to put that aside and not address that affidavit and then start the arguments for the Crown. So I was getting the impression from the judge he did want to keep going, and he was willing to maneuver the process a bit. But it was the defense that said, well, you know what, we really need to finish this now because that could affect everything else anyways. And he agreed. He was giving them the option to kind of pause and continue with the day. So I like that, because I did want to highlight that the judge did want the process to keep going. It really wasn't in the Crown's decision to adjourn today. It was the defense who made the ultimate decision, but it was instigated by the Crown with their last minute. And I want to change one little thing there, James. We do fact checking here. They had 5 minutes, not 15, to review it. It was 5 minutes. So yeah, they said we had 5 minutes, and then they started the arguments. So they didn't even get more than 5 minutes to look at it. Yeah, but I went and looked up what crime fraud is, and you guys, well, you're all sitting down, so that's good news, because this is amazing. So crime fraud, I'll read it to you. Crime fraud is a term that refers to the use of deceit, lies, or false representations to cheat or deceive the victim and deprive them of their money or property. Fraud is not usually a crime by itself, but it can form the basis of various criminal acts. Fraud requires a knowingly misrepresentation of the truth or concealment of a material fact to induce another to act in his or her detriment. Wow, that's a big thing. What do you think there, James?
That's
crime
almost fraud. Like, yeah, it's crime fraud. It's almost like manipulating, making people believe and say what the Crown wants them to say as examples. That's the scary thing.
This will fall into like inducement or entrapment in those type of areas of law, where they're causing somebody to do something they would not normally do if but for whatever's going on. Now, I'm very, very curious what that could be. Do you have any speculation, Danielle? We're going to speculate at this point, not because we don't know, but what do you think that fraud might have been?
Oh, there's so many things it could have been.
Start with what?
I don't know if I should get into it because I know too much and I don't know where to draw the line. So I think I'll just fifth on that one.
That's a better answer, actually. I really respect that, Danielle, because that is a very intelligent answer. So we'll leave it at that. We won't speculate. But we do know what it's related to. It's related to the ITOs, which generated the warrant. Now, a lot of the ITO stuff is under publication ban, so we don't even know what's in there. Boy, do I want to know now, because it seems like that this is what the root of this is. So I wonder if, Danielle, do you know if the defense actually know the contents of the ITOs, or are they also not able to see them?
That I'm not sure of. Though,
Wasn't some things redacted and they're trying to
well,
get,
because there's an ongoing investigation, there's still things that they're able to redact, but I don't know what that looks like at this point. I did find out that one of the family members was visited by an investigator who was pretending he was walking his dog and started questioning him about Chris Carbert. So like, well, one of the accused, he starts questioning him about him. And like, I'm like, so that means they're still investigating. They're still out asking questions. So if anybody starts asking any questions about anybody, don't say anything.
no,
Because they're still out trying to find information about something that they haven't been able to prove in all this time. So if one of the guys' name is mentioned by anybody, even if they look like an innocent person walking around, anything like that, if somebody thinks that you know something, it could happen. So we all got to be a little bit cautious right now if that's still what's going on. It's a bit of desperateness. It was reeking of desperateness in there today when I heard that bit of information. And I got it. I call family, like our whole family is family, just so we're clear that this is family. So if I speak of family, that's what I'm referring to. But when you're hearing this, where you're hearing about strangers coming out of the dark and not starting to ask questions again, this is what we dealt with over a year ago, where people were getting approached and we were all being advised that we were probably going to be talked to. Friends and family were getting approached by them, like months and months down the road, and we're like, wouldn't that mean you don't have enough if you're knocking on,
scrounging around,
scrounging
looking
around,
for little
and then
pieces.
the questions they were asking were, talking about the tractor driver and all of that stuff. Like it kind of felt to me back then even that they were scrounging. So it's just, I guess, a little reminiscent of all of that. To know, and especially even knowing that they're still at this point still out trying to snoop around for information. Like, come on, if you had stuff on them, you would have convicted them like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And you'd have put it in the headlines and it would have been big news and that would have been spread all over that POEC, that's if you had something. So that's where we're at.
Well, we did get about the affidavit though, because the defense did talk about some of his content and said it was an opinion. And it was basically from a King's Counsel, so a KC, King's Counsel within the office. So it's a lawyer's affidavit, and it's a lawyer's opinion that they believe it is protected by solicitor-client. That's what it said. It didn't say anything like this was not a bad act. It wasn't an affidavit that they did the right thing or they didn't do anything wrong. It's just an affidavit to trying to keep it secret, to try and keep it protected, to keep that shield in place. And I always find that an interesting argument when I hear someone make it. They're not arguing the material item itself or the wrongdoing. They're arguing about whether or not they can stay shielded. So that's almost an admission that there's some wrongdoing there, because if there wasn't wrongdoing, remove the shield and show it. But they want to keep that shield there come hell high water, and they want to make sure it stays there. So what do you guys think? Do you think that this might be, they're kind of letting us know a little bit that they really don't want that out? So because they were trying to protect it behind client solicitor privilege, they're trying to protect it behind a new publication ban, and now they're trying to protect it behind a new affidavit. They really don't want people to see this. So I really think that this could be really, really bad. Because normally you are able to deal with things that don't work well for your case. It's one of the things we're also taught. You bring up your warts first. You're be the one that talks about the difficult parts, and then you can argue it and explain it off. That's not what they're doing here. They're really trying to stay very secret and not let this out. So I think it's really, really bad. Are you getting that same reading from this, Danielle or James?
Yeah, I personally think that they're grasping at straws and are leaning towards any little chip they can find to do damage, just to show the people of Canada that, hey, we still run this country. We have control over you. We will take charge of you and your life and your family. And we have to remember that this is our Canada. We have to
People
go by
shouldn't
the
be
law.
worried about going to jail for running over pylons. Like, it's not okay. That is not okay.
Yeah, I'm not trying to laugh.
No.
Yeah, no, it's a struggle day by day.
Can you go ahead and share your pylon story? Because some people may not know that, James.
Yeah, I could share the pylon story. So yeah, I went down to the Milk River protest back last February, and anyways, it was beautiful moments. There was always food. Uh, the people that came around, the amount of hugs that I got, the love, the support, driving up their front lines, and I got a call from a buddy while I was at home saying that they put on a fire ban in the middle of February. So I took it upon myself to make a post on Facebook looking for firewood donations. Never posted what it was for or anything. Collected about 7 cords of firewood, loaded it up in the back of the hydrovac, closed the lid, and joined a convoy down to Coutts. We made it as far as Milk River. That's as far as they'd let us go. They had the highway blocked off with police cars and everything else, and I pulled in front lines and unloaded it. And I think that's where I was targeted right from the get-go. They didn't like that I brought something in that they were trying to get rid of. And so yeah, fast forward to February 14th, Valentine's Day. There was kids come out with signs. They brought out roses, handed them out to different officers. The love, the support was amazing. And about 10 o'clock-ish, I think it was, I got a call to go to work. So it was my time to pack the truck up and head home and get back to work. I laid across the seats of that day cab for 5 days. It was enough was enough. So when I left, I pulled over on the side of the road after the protest, and I seen a check stop. I stopped to do my pre-trip inspection and check my truck over and stuff before I left. And from there, I proceeded to head towards this check stop, which had a police officer sitting inside of his car, one officer, and that was it. So I made my way to the check stop. He got out of his car and stood beside his driver's door and gave a waving hand gesture. I took it as a sign of goodbye and proceeded to make my way through. And as I went by the check stop, my front tire clipped the pylon. Well, from there, they pursued me, pulled me over, and arrested me. And so that's the gist of it.
They pursued you, so they actually put the lights on and came after you?
They put the lights on and came after me, and I pulled over right away. Pardon?
And then you were arrested right away and taken away?
Yeah, I was arrested right away and hauled over to the Raymond detachment. They didn't even take me to Milk River, which I was basically right next door to it. At first, they couldn't decide where to take me. I'm not sure why. But I ended up in Raymond detachment. They took the truck and hid it behind some grain silos in Milk River and abandoned it, left the lights on and everything else. And yeah.
Did you get bail?
I was released on an undertaking 8 hours later is when they let me out. My release order was actually 2 hours of being held, but they kept me in there for an extra 6 hours and then released me on an undertaking with a bunch of conditions.
And you had a jury trial, so you went through the full thing, and tell us what the results were.
Yeah, so I went through a jury trial. I thought that was the way to go. I've never been in trouble or convicted or charged or anything. So I just followed suit with what I was being told everywhere. And I was silenced. I couldn't speak. I was not allowed to tell my story or anything. I had to keep the peace. I was not allowed to go to any rallies, protests, convoys, or anything of the sort. I couldn't go to any borders or stay away from Milk River, Coutts, and so I mean my story never got out. So going with the jury now, seeing it, nobody heard of me until my trial was ongoing.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, James. But now you're looking at doing an appeal, possibly conviction. There's some things to do. Do you have a way to do some fundraising? Are you looking to get some support?
I do have a Give, Send, Go going. I haven't really been pushing the fundraising because it's been very difficult. I've had lots of backlash from, people, trolls, I guess you call them, or whatever. So it kind of went quiet. Yeah. So
Well, let's keep that going, okay? So make sure that we can get it. We'll put it in the description of this video. Let's keep that going, James, and don't let the trolls bring you down, because that's all they're there for, and they're not even real. So ignore them completely. I think there's a lot of people around, even in this room, that think you deserve support. So we'll try and get you some of that.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Now, you have a Facebook page?
I do have a Facebook page, James Sowery. I also have James Sowery Support Center. I have a Give, Send, Go link in that. I'm an open book. Everything's visible. There's nothing hidden. My full name, everything. So there's nothing to hide.
Now, they also took away your license, so you can't use your license for the next little bit, and that's made work difficult for you. Have you been able to find something local, or work with somebody to find some work?
No, yeah. So they took my license now. The Alberta Transportation, due to my conviction, took my license till March 2024. So with this sentence, I was only able to drive for work purposes at first, and then with the conviction, the Alberta Transportation took it indefinitely. So I don't know. I still don't know what sentence is going to be. I'm still waiting to review with the lawyer the disclosure, the transcripts, to be able to file an appeal and open this up. As far as working goes, no, I live in the rural country, in the rural part of Alberta, central. And yeah, I haven't. I've been picking up little jobs from neighbors here and there, but it's been pretty slow.
What kind of work are you looking for? Like, what is the work you were doing before all of this?
I kind of do a lot of woodworking projects, handcrafted stuff. I do a lot of farming around the area. Kind of one of those jack of all trades, I guess. Plumbing, welding, whatever.
You also gave me a container that you engraved, so you have some engraving equipment or something?
Yeah, we do some. We do all kinds of engraving and stuff. A lot of wood engravings, tumblers, glass, that kind of thing.
Have you thought about a website for merch where people can order some custom engravings and things like that?
I do have a website or a Facebook page going, Live Edge Designs. I can pin that to my my main page. I haven't really promoted it a whole lot. My thing was to purchase a sawmill and make a business out of it before all this started. So I was kind of hoping after this I'd be able to continue on with it.
Well, I know I would like something from you. So after this, I'd like to sit down and talk about what I can choose and order from you. And maybe some other people in this room may want something from James Sowery direct. But maybe we'll talk about that as well. And maybe we can get more people to know about you this way. So get your art. This is an art. Do you consider yourself an artist?
I don't know if I'd consider myself an artist. I'm a guy that's goes out the box, tries different things. I like to be creative and build different things.
Good work, James. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, we're going to keep going with this. We'll mention it often, and if I'll order something, I'll put it on my set so people know it comes from you, and we'll go from there. We're going to wrap up. So Danielle, I'm going to move to you now. Do you want to? Is there anything about today that we missed that you want to let people know about?
I can't think of anything. I think I was really impressed with the packboard house. So as long as people keep coming, it'd be nice if people kept coming all week. Like sometimes, things start off with a pop and we understand you got work and all of that. But it is, having those eyes on this felt good today. That was the first time we've had a packed courthouse. So it felt good to have all the witnesses in there.
Definitely come down and show your support. I mean, there's even the boys' moms are here, like Betty's, Tessie, Mike, Jacqueline. She's hanging around too. I mean, don't be scared to come out, give them some support, throw them a hug, say hi. They enjoy the love too. So
yeah. And if we're going to ask too, like if the people kind of respect that there's a bit of a group of friends and family, that because it was a packed courthouse today, that we'll try to make sure that the friends and family get in first and get kind of up to the front. So I mean, we're glad that you're there, but there is a group, like there is quite a few people that are included in that friends and family group that it's important that they make sure that they've got seating before we absolutely pack the house, because it got pretty close today to a few friends and family like not getting in or that they didn't. So we'll try to maybe, you know, we can't control what other people do, but we'll try to ask that maybe if everybody can make sure to give a little space and make sure all the friends and family were through. They kind of did it after lunch and it was nice. The sheriffs even helped try to make sure that
Yeah.
those rows got kind of filled up first and foremost, because we didn't expect that today. So yeah.
That was an awesome turnout.
It was, yeah. Thanks everybody that came traveled. Yeah.
And you definitely felt that love in that room, especially that Lord's Prayer. I don't think there was a single person sitting down. I think, did Ezra stand? Did you notice that? No, Ezra didn't stand? No? All right, okay. Okay, so one person didn't stand. And I even believe one of the court clerks stood as well and participated as well. So it was a beautiful thing to see. So thank you both very much. We're going to wrap up here because there's a lot of people that want to go find that beer and enjoy the rest of their evening. And I don't want to hold them too long. So thank you both very much.
Thank you, guys.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Well, did you hear that? That's what happens with a live studio audience. They like to clap and they like to get involved, and we're not going to tell them to be quiet. This is what we're here for. This is, there's the mic on, guys. We're still live. We're still live. So I'll tell them that part. We're still live. But thank you all very much for joining us. We got 224 of you here right now concurrent. We got over 2,000 views of this video right now, and we're just getting started. So thank you all very much for tuning in. We're going to be back tomorrow. We'll be doing this court coverage all week, and tomorrow might be the big day because we didn't get to see the contents of the envelope. We didn't get to hear about it. It's still sealed. There's a couple more hurdles to get there. So maybe come down tomorrow. Make sure you come down tomorrow. That could be the day that we find out that the Crown did some bad things and what those bad things were. And is it enough to cause the charges to be dropped? It's feeling that way. I got to tell you that because of the defense, it does feel that way, that we might be heading in that direction. Chris Lysak told me yesterday when he called that his lawyer calls it a golden ticket. He didn't tell him the contents. He doesn't know what the contents is. Chris doesn't want to know what the contents is, but he's very excited. And we got to see that big smile. All four of them have these big smiles, and Chris Carbert has these dimples. They're pretty cool. They all saw it. They all saw it. And at the end of the day, there was some sad moments because you can still hear the shackles when they're walking in and out, and they're moving very slowly, and it's very sad to see humans tortured this way because that's what we believe this is. This is a type of torture. But the love was still felt, and Tess, yeah, she was there. She was watching. She had the nice little shirt on. She got the boys' picture on the back. But one thing I didn't like though was Tess and her sister needed to go to the washroom. They attempted to go. They got turned around. Someone else came and helped them out, and they were allowed to go one at a time. So the guards there, or the sheriffs there, were keeping a pretty tight courtroom. And I guess we kind of need that kind of thing to keep everybody in order. But at the end of the day, it looks like tomorrow we're going to be getting some answers, hopefully. Or is there going to be another paper straw that they throw out there? But I saw a lot of spaghetti on the wall today, and I do smell desperation. And looking at the body language of that Crown, he's not the one that's on trial or anything like that, but his body language was uncomfortable. He was huffing a few times. And Danielle mentioned he had these big binders on his desk. I don't know if that was case law. I'm pretty sure he's searching for a new job. So I don't think those were for doing a new resume. So thank you all very much. I love you all. And remember, God bless